Okay, so yesterday we talked about standard form. Today we're going to talk about vertex form. And vertex form looks like this. Y equals A times X minus H, quantity squared plus K. That's what vertex form looks like. Your book actually calls it standard form. So today in your assignment, when the book asks you to do this in standard form, you're going to say to yourself, hey, I know that that's supposed to be vertex form, what Mr. Gens is calling it, okay? And what they want us to do is a quadratic function is given, express it in vertex form, sketch its graph, and find the maximum or minimum. So we don't have to find x-intercepts for these problems. We don't have to find y-intercepts for these problems. We're just going to do these three pieces, okay? That's it. So you can see that what's unique about this is it has a completed square. So you're going to have to be able to complete the square. And you've been used to completing the square one way. And Miss Nelson did an awesome job teaching you guys how to complete the square. However, I want you to realize that there's a few ways to actually complete the square. And I'm going to show you a new way today. And it's the way I like to do it. And I think it'll work well for you. Now, what's different about this is when you guys completed the square last year, your function was always set equal to what? 0. And that's not the case. Here it's equal to f of x. So I'm going to carry you through the same process that you did last year, except we're going to have f of x. And I'm going to show you a new way of doing it. Second hour really liked this, so we're going to try it this way and see how it goes. I'm going to want you guys' feedback in the long run, okay? So if you see I have a negative x squared, I'm going to rewrite it like this. F of x is equal to negative x squared plus 4x. So do you remember last year what you would do right away? Divide off the negative. So I have to divide everything by -1, right? Even the f of x. So if I divide everything by -1, I get a negative f of x is equal to positive x squared minus 4x. Okay, now I just have to find out what number I add to complete the square. You take the b value and divide it by 2 and then square it to get 4. So it looks like I add 4 to both sides. What does your new expression read if you do that? Negative f of x plus 4 equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. Do I have a completed square? Now I can write it in factored form. I can write it like this. Negative f of x plus 4 is equal to parentheses x minus 2 quantity squared. So I've completed the square. But now what do I have to go back and do? I have to solve for the f of x. So in order to solve for f of x, I first need to subtract the 4, and I have to divide the -1. So I have to kind of undo the stuff on the left-hand side. And I get negative f of x equals x minus 2 quantity squared minus 4. And now I'll divide through by -1 and get f of x is equal to negative x minus 2 quantity squared plus 4. So I've completed the square, and I've rewritten it where I've solved for f of x. What do you guys think? That seems like a lot of work? Well, I got a shorter way of doing it. It's just a matter of whether or not you understand it. Question, where do I get the 4? I had to add 4 to both sides to complete the square. And I subtracted it back over. Okay, we'll try here. Do you see how I got this step? I had to complete the square. X squared minus 4x. I had to add 4 to have a perfect square. This is a perfect square, which factors down to that. Do you have a brain fart? Smells. I got Robin to laugh. I'm a funny guy. Okay. All right, so that's A. So Last year this was a problem, and last year they kind of had a rookie teacher, so that was problematic. Their teacher was stupid last year. So this is what we got. This is A. So this is expressed in vertex form. They didn't always write in vertex form on the test. Got to write in vertex form. Second of all, I got to sketch the graph. What's the vertex? Not negative 2, 4, but 2, 4. See, it's shifted over 2 units horizontally and vertically 4 units. And then is it right side up or upside down? It's upside down. So does everybody see that this is going to be over 2 and up 4? Yeah? What direction does it go? Now, Megan Stark, who I refer to as Starkey, asked second hour, she said, well, how do you know it goes like that? I didn't really understand what she meant right away. Now I know. I don't know. Well, I do know. But we don't really care if it goes like that, okay? You might as well just draw it like that, okay? You don't really know how wide or narrow it is. It doesn't ask us to give the x-intercepts or the y-intercepts. It simply asks you to generate the graph, from the vertex. And does it have a maximum value or minimum value? Maximum. What is it? 4. So we're done. We put it in vertex form, we graphed it, and we said that it has a maximum value of 4. So we completed the square, we did all that. Yeah? We'll do one more like that, and then I'm going to show you what I think is a slightly easier method, and the method that I would like you guys to try. Okay. Can I erase it? All right, let's go to B. And this is all we're going to do. We're just going to do A and B, and I'm going to show you, 2 examples where I do it a different way, and then you can have work time. So f of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 1. Do you need to divide anything off the x squared? No. So what would you do last year then if you didn't have to divide off? You would add the 1 to both sides. That's fine. We could do that. F of x plus 1 is equal to x squared minus 3x. Is that familiar to everybody from last year that I would do that? Okay, but the difference is instead of 0, I have an f of x. Okay, so now I take the b term and I divide it by 2 and square it. So I have 3/2 squared is 9/4. Hey there. Got 9/4. So I'm going to add a 9/4 to both sides. 9/4. And I get f of x is, let's see, 1 is 4/4 plus 9/4 is 13/4. Equals, and what does x squared minus 3x plus 9/4 factor down to? X minus 3/2. Very good. 20 squared. Now what do I do to both sides? What's the vertex? 3/2 is 13/4. 3/2 is 1.5. 13/4 is 3.25. And it's a negative. So I'm going to plot those. We got 1.25, 1.5, 3.25. Does it go up or down? Goes up because it's positive. Does it have a min or a max? What's the minimum value? Negative 3.25. So remember, we're going to be asked to find minimums and maximums for real-world problems. Minimum cost, maximum profit, minimum effort, maximum output. I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. Okay. At the end of the day, we want to be able to identify these spots. You have two ways of doing it: negative b divided by 2a, or complete the square. So you have these two options, and you're going to be tested on being able to do both of them. Now, I would like to show you a different way that I try to do these problems. So you either want to do this on a scratch sheet of paper, or you want to do it on your homework. Either place, I don't care. Or maybe you want to do it on the back side of these notes. It really doesn't make a difference to me. Let's try a third example, and let's try 3 times x squared minus 6x minus 1. And like I said, if you guys like the other way, if you like the way we just did it, that's fine. But if you like this way better, then maybe you want to try this. And don't think that if you like this way better, don't say to yourself, well, I wish we would have completed the square like that last year. It doesn't work like that last year, because we're not solving for 0. We have f of x. It's totally different. So when we don't have it equal 0, we got to complete a square for a function. Here's what I like to do. I like to go f of x is equal to, and I just take a 3 out of the first two terms. I write it as 3 times x squared minus 2x, and I leave a space there, and I write minus 1. Now, you're going to have to think about that for a second. Convince yourself that what I just wrote is exactly what I have up there. Would you agree? Furthermore, doesn't that look very similar to f of x equals a times x minus h, quantity squared, plus k? Doesn't that look very similar to that right now? All I have to do is complete this square, right? That's all I have to do. Some people say, well, Mr. Gentz, you didn't take the 3 out of the 1. That's okay. If I wrote the minus 1 in here, then I would have had a problem. But I didn't write the minus 1 in here. I wrote it over there. Okay? So it still has the same value as what I had up above. So let's look. What number would you add in here in order to maintain, or in order to complete the square? 1. Yep. Now, A for the day. This is the most important part. These next two steps. That's really not a 1. What's the true value? 3. I've truly just added 3 to this side, have I not? I haven't just added 1. I've added 3. So, if you want to maintain equality, if I added 3 to this side, I would have to add 3 to... Or, instead of adding 3 to that side, I could subtract 3 from this side. See? I added 3, and I'll subtract 3. If I've added 3 and subtract 3, it has the same exact net value of 0, right? Isn't that legal? Nothing wrong with that. And now I'm basically done. 3 times. What does that factor down to? Done. Casey didn't like that one. You can do whichever way you want. I would say, I think everybody but one person second hour started doing all the problems this way. Now, I don't care which way you guys do them. It's totally up to you. But I'm going to show you one more like this, okay? There are more questions in your mind this hour than there was second hour. Let's try one more. Probably because it's 8th hour. Let's try example 4. And again, my whole idea is I want it to look like that. So what should my a value be? What should I factor out? A negative 2. So I have f of x is equal to negative 2 times what? X squared. That's going to be a plus 3x. And I'll leave that there, and I'll leave the 3 on the end. See how the constant is right at the end with that? Just going to leave that right there. And again, if you're worried, are you okay? I know CPR. I also have a first aid kit. All right. Just swallow a fly? Maybe a box elder bug. Do you know the average person swallows 8 spiders a year in their sleep? That's a lie? It is not. I don't lie. Okay. All right. So now we got to complete the square. What number do you add inside here to complete the square? Very good. Okay? Not quite. But you take this number, divide it by 2, which is 3/2, and square it to get 9/4. So very good. I'm going to add 9/4. Now, what's the true value of that 9/4? Negative 18/4, so negative 9/2. So what I've really done is I've subtracted 9/2 to this side, haven't I? So if I want to balance out, I should add 9/2. And so now I have f of x is equal to negative 2 times, what do I got there? X plus 3/2 squared plus, this is 6/2 plus 9/2 is 15/2. Skywalker, what up? 3 divided by 2 is 3/2. Squared is 9/4. Question. Okay, so again, the question is, how did I go from 9/4 to 9/2? 9/4 times negative 2. 9/4 times negative 2 is negative 9/2. It's negative 18/4, which is negative 9/2. So I add 9/2 to maintain equality. Okay? So, hey, you guys, before I give you your assignment, I just want you to understand, you can do it either way. But here's what I want you to know. When second semester, here's what we're going to do. Is you're not going to graph things that look like that. Here's what you're going to graph. X minus h, quantity squared, over a squared, minus y minus k, quantity squared, over b squared, is equal to 1. And it's going to start by looking like this. X squared minus 4y squared plus 3x minus 4y plus 2 is equal to 8. So here's my point. You have to complete the square twice there. And, you know, that's more the method that we use to complete the square as opposed to the first example I showed you. So, like I said, I see where we're going. That's a method that I would encourage you to use. But you do whatever you want. Section 2.6, page 204, numbers 16 through 22 and 24. There you go. I sure will. It's on the sheet of notes I gave you yesterday as well. There's the quadratic formula. What's that?